We are in Genova, the 6th largest city in Italy and one of the busiest ports in the wider Mediterranean Sea. The city forms part of the Gulf of Genova in the Ligurian Sea and for 7 centuries was capital of one of the most powerful maritime republics. A city synonymous with seafaring, it's perhaps unsurprising that one of Genova's most famous sons is Christopher Columbus, born here in 1451. More recently, the city's rich history in art, music and cuisine saw it named European Capital of Culture in 2004. Genova, the final stop of the ocean race, and with the nickname La Superba, perhaps this city can stake a claim for being the most beautiful. Well, the finish line is set just off the city shoreline, and at the moment we have got some good breeze. The sea breeze, if indeed that's what it is, has been starting to build. This morning when we came down to the Ocean Life Park, it was very light, very sticky, but now we're getting something coming in from that southeast. And from the direction and the angle that the boats are making, it's good, it's powering themselves up. I mean, Dee, if you're going to be in light winds, being upwind, going upwind in light winds is pretty good.
It makes it much more comfortable to get the boat momentum because you're actually creating more apparent wind, so you're actually got something to work with. If you were downwind, you would really be stuck and really searching for any power.
This leg has been full of twists and turns. Let's take a look at exactly how it all played out here. From that first push out from The Hague, I mean, Dee, that channel race, all those manoeuvres we saw those boats do, and the hard work just increased from there.
That's right, light wind, strong tides at the Channel Islands, a little bit of separation where Holcim PRB got the advantage as they sailed upwind across the Bay of Biscay. But it was the Portuguese coast where they came back together and back within sight of each other, and it was a little bit of a playing tactical game as they were manoeuvring within sight of each other. And again, Holcim entered that Mediterranean first and the fleet went south, but Holcim pushed further south before they went up to get the sea breeze effect on the coastal shore. They all came together off Alicante where they got their outbound track, and then they fought their way through to the finish here in Genova.
We have got the first of our IMOCAs. We have got Team Malizia. And the boat speeds at the moment are pretty important here. 7.2 knots for the German boat, 5.4 for Biotherm, and then 4.2 knots for Team Holcim PRB. And, you know, I enjoy a little bit of speculating. I enjoy sort of jinxing people's results, but let's just say Team Malizia are looking strong. Biotherm and Team Holcim PRB, that is going to be very close indeed. But for Team Malizia, they are sailing well and coming into this finish line in fine form, and the crew are having a chance to feel good.
It's another 20 minutes to the finish. It's incredible, no?
Yeah, I have a strange feeling coming.
I have a strange feeling coming too that we're gonna finish the ocean race, that we're finish a lap around the world.
Yes.
31,000 nautical miles, 105 days at sea, and now we finish. We're probably gonna win the leg.
Let's see. We have to finish it properly. I'm shaking a bit.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's from the camera or it's my emotions. I think it's really a mix of both of them.
Yeah.
Dee, let's take that moment. I mean, let's take exactly what Rosalind was talking about, because we spend so much of our time talking about performance and points, but this is a journey that is coming to an end.
Exactly, and Rosalind's a great example there of somebody sailing around the world for the first time. So that realisation of she's just completed a circumnavigation, she now goes into that list of sailors that have sailed around the world. And it's funny, she could even name how many days they've been at sea. And that's quite hard in an ocean race because you stop and have those stopovers. Yeah. So it isn't, you know, it's cumulative, but there's big gaps in between. So she's clearly been doing the maths on this leg.
Yeah, but also, what is a day? I mean, when you're out at sea, you might have 4 or 5 watches within a day. I mean, it gets pretty blurry.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's that sunrise, sunset. I mean, most of the time they didn't even know what meal to be eating as they've travelled around the time zones, and these things just confuse everybody. But what was really nice there is they're ahead. They can see the finish line. They're talking about another 20 minutes to go, but they didn't want to jinx it. Even the onboard reporter there was just like, oh, hold on. But they are all feeling emotions, and it doesn't matter what role they've played in this, whether you come first or last. This is an emotional time because it's been so much commitment. It's not just the time since January that they've been sailing. It was all the build-up and preparation to get them to the start line initially that's all part of it as well.
Team Malizia making their way past the boats that have come out to welcome them in. Not all of them members of the team. You can normally spot Team Malizia from their black tops. This is their chance now. This is their moment to be kind of welcomed in, and for whatever the reason, Team Malizia certainly do have quite a loyal fan base. They really amass a lot of fans around the world.
Definitely, the Malizian army has come out in force, and they've been slowly growing. It's been quite organic, but they've really delivered a lot of content from the boat. Lots of honest, open stuff. I mean, even the joke when they were like, oh, Boris is asleep and the kids are at play, with Rosalind and Will doing stuff that, maybe Boris knew about, maybe he didn't. But you really kind of felt that you were brought into their atmosphere and the environment that they've created. Boris has done a very good job with this team, and it really has grown. And they won that massive leg, that historic leg 3, Southern Ocean leg, that kind of really gave them the pedestal and the justification of all the decisions about the boat design and everything coming together. And here they are winning the end. And you're as good as your last race, and this is their last race of the ocean race, and they're going to win it.
Well, the finish line is right in front of them. They have kept their speed above 5 knots, and that is crucial, even with the wind starting to fade away and turn to the right. For BO turn behind, and for Team Holcim PRB, it seems to have come back a little bit more, pushing both their bows down. But while first place is a certainty for Team Malizia, Boris Herrmann and his crew, second place is really up for grabs here. We're going to be welcoming the German boat across the finish line before we need to start worrying about BO Term and Team Holcim PRB. But worry we will, because second and third look set to come down to the wire. Optimus out in the water, a junior sailing boat getting out there as the breeze is filling in, and Team Malizia, that Genoese rigged classic boat, sailing faster now than a round the world IMOCA boat, and it goes to show you that the right sail for the right conditions, for the right venue. The finish line just up ahead here for Boris Herrmann and Team Malizia. This team, which has amassed a passionate following, always facing the most dramatic moments with energy and optimism, and now here in Genova. Boris Herrmann, Will Harris, Rosalind Kuiper and Nico Lundgren have completed an amazing lap of the planet, showing what this radical design can do in the hands of skilled sailors. Now they cross the line in first place on leg 7 and celebrate as a team once again.
Yes, I! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Let's come this other side to the sun. Yeah!
Super good.
How is that?
Yeah.
Allez, je fais la photo avec vous là, c'est bon. Allez, let's go.
They just came off the helm, they've just come up to celebrate, they've just turned the boat down a little bit, and it's parked up. It gives you an idea of how much on a knife edge the speed was, how much work they were having to do to keep it moving.
It's quite nice. They can totally relax. They're not going anywhere. All the ribs will stay out the way of the boat. It's just kind of flapping around in the breeze, just pottering along. It's how lovely. What a way to finish 31,000 miles or whatever Rosalind said it was around the world. A really tough leg to finish on, and a well-deserved win that literally only happened from the early hours of this morning to put themselves in contention for that win. They were in third place for most of the time on this leg, but you only need to be first place as you cross the finish line, and that's what they've done.
And I mean, third place, they were really cemented in third place at the time. They were a long way back. It looked like a 2-horse race all the way coming through here. The yacht club of Monaco being flown there. Part of the suppliers and the sponsors and the supporters for Team Malizia, the Genoese flag as well, and all of the crew now on the coach roof of Boris Herrmann's IMOCA, and enjoying what this moment means, not only for the scores, for the points, for any trophies and awards, but this journey, this lap of the planet, this team that has come together to support each other and help each other excel around the world. And now they are seeing the conclusion of that full turn of the planet. But those miles, that journey, that adventure is now complete. They have got only a meter to go, and then they will have completed the offshore section of the ocean race. We have got the import race in a couple of days' time, but for Team Malizia, and I think for all of the teams, the marathon, that drama that follows you around when you are offshore, and all the miles that feel so daunting when you are back at the beginning in Alicante with that first start line, all of that now comes to an end. They've crossed the finish line, and now they are docking in here at the Ocean Life Park.
Wow, Rosie, Will, amazing. I mean, what a surprise. How are you guys feeling?
It's incredible to finish here in Genoa in the first place. We can't believe it, can we?
I still can't believe it. Like, there's no words. It was just, you know, amazing leg, amazing way to finish this crazy race, I think.
Yeah, and we realized we still a lap around the world, and 105 days at sea,
5 days, yeah.
6 months of pushing ourselves like day in, day out, and yeah, to finish like this is incredible and so special.
Yeah, always coming down to the line like that. And yeah, last night when we saw the opportunity to kind of catch up, we just went for it, and that was it, I think, you know.
Great job from Nico. And how is it returning back to land and out of your bubble with this incredible welcome?
Yeah.
A bit double.
It's bittersweet, it's bittersweet,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Bittersweet. We said it yesterday with the crew. We had a little moment and a drink, and we said, like, guys, that's been a crazy adventure, and it's good to go back to normal life, but we will miss each other, and we will miss to be out at sea every day and see all the sunrises and sunsets, and we had such a good time, huh?
Yeah. So many memories from this race, I think. We're gonna always be bonded by this for the rest of our life. And 2 years ago, Rosie and I finished the Ocean Race Europe here, and now we're back here having done a lap of the planet together. So to see the development and see how amazing Rosie's done.
It's
Congratulations, guys. Well, what an amazing finish today.
I'm very happy, and we have the most sailors that did the whole race. The only female that did the entire lap around the planet, Rosie. And yeah, very proud of the team. That's just such an amazing team. It's a privilege to work with them.
Yeah, you built an incredible family. What a welcome here in Genova. What a great performance from Nico going up the coast there. What a great decision.
Yeah, Nico is such a great navigator, and was fantastic to have him back for the last leg. And this night he showed his fine judgments. We found a really fine line, a little bit further left and further right, sometimes only 100 meters. There was no good wind quite often, and luckily we had the Volvo 65s as indicators. We could see when they slow down or accelerate or have a wind shift, so that helped a lot to find a good lane.
A great match out on the water. Congratulations. Welcome to Genova.
Now, on the water, we are still yet to see who is going to be the next of our IMOCAs to come across the line. D, the breeze has been going up, it's been going down. This is the first time that I'm seeing Bioterm faster than Team Holcim PRB.
Yeah, and actually this is starting to pay off, them now doing that low, slow approach. We're not going to do any manoeuvres, we're just going to hang in there. Coming in from that coastal direction, they didn't want to be sucked into the big angles and the multiple manoeuvres. And it is starting now to pay off. Even if boat speeds are matched, they're still that, they've positioned themselves between Holcim PRB and the finish line. So they need to do some work if they want to change that now.
There is a danger, there is always a risk of saying, well, that's it. You know, Bioterm is so close to the finish line now compared to Team Holcim PRB. And we're talking about Bioterm 1.6 nautical miles to the finish. Team Holcim PRB 3.2 miles to the finish, and there's a good almost 2 nautical miles between the two boats. But the breeze, it has glassed out on the water at the moment for the French boat, and they have decided to change sails as well.
Yeah, big call. The spinnaker is a large surface area, quite a lot to control, and as it goes light, it's quite hard to keep it filling. Once it collapses, you're almost better off getting rid of it and going to the Code Zero that has some structure in it and will stay hanging and hopefully will pull you along, which is exactly what Bioterm have done there. That will have been, you know, a big distraction, lots of crew work, and will have affected their boat speed. So hopefully now Paul can just focus on keeping the boat rumbling with this sail, and we can get the boat going again and build the speed towards the finish line.
On the water, Bioterm and Tim Holson PRB still have a little bit of a way to go, and we have got our jibe here for Bioterm D. They are getting close to this finish. The jibe is not going to be their only one, though. They're going to have to put another one in.
No, I think that was more a tactical move, trying to position themselves relative to Holcim PRB and work on closing that gap towards the finish. They weren't going to make it on the trajectory they were on. They always had to jibe at some point, and it was just too high a risk to leave it to just one jibe. So multiple manoeuvres give them options, as the wind's quite fickle.
Our helicopter is heading out onto the water once again. A quick refuel during the prize giving. And there you can see Bioterm, and they are making some ground. They are managing to move here. And they've got some boats behind them. Everyone's still keeping a little bit of distance, keeping the wake down. I'm surprised here, Dee, to see both rudders down on Bioterm. I would have thought minimise every bit of drag you can.
Yeah, everybody has a slightly different setup with their rudders, and some are in cassettes off the back that are super easy to flick up, and some it's a bit more complex. Not all the boats always lift them, and he is doing manoeuvres. It's the worst thing ever if you were to do a manoeuvre and forget the rudder.
Well, they look like they have already completed this jibe. The tracker might just be a couple of minutes behind, because they look now, they are laying that finish line. So if we have seen a jibe, we have seen two of them. And now Paul is moving over 2 knots of boat speed, and right now that's enough. You'll take that, you'll be happy with it, and that finish line is ahead. For this boat now, they are less than half a mile, a quarter of a mile away from the finish and away from a second place in leg 7. Smiles from Alan, smiles from Marie Rioux as well.
Yeah, they're just finally allowing those smiles to come onto their faces, but they're just not holding on to them, just in case. But if we look on the heli shot, we can see that patch of darker breeze, a nice big line between them and the finish, which hopefully will just allow them to keep that momentum into that finish line.
And it must feel very good as well to be pointing at the finish. The jibe back, lining yourselves up, bit of pressure, and now every distance we sail is going where we've been trying to go for the last few hours.
Yeah, it's so demoralising to be sailing in the wrong direction for so long. It just crushes you. So to now finally point and shoot is a really good feeling. And the fact that all the crew are sat to leeward, like they're pretty comfortable where they are, and it's just about Paul keeping the boat rolling now. Still joking, still with a smile on his face. That's been the theme for Bioterm the whole way around the world.
Coming together really nicely, and there you can see on that left-hand side the finish line, the 2 white marks. And I said that they were laying that finish, and it did look like they were earlier, but now they've been pulled up. You can see on that left-hand side the streaks of pressure, the dark patches, sailing a little bit out of it now.
Yeah, you did the curse, Niall. You said they were laying it. That was the curse. The kiss of death for Bioterm coming into the finish, Niall. Niall Moran Best gave you that. I'm sorry you've got to do another jibe.
It is absolutely the curse of being the main commentator.
Yeah, which means I can call you out on it, so that's fine. So all the crew are back now. They know they're going to do another manoeuvre. They just need a little bit of boat speed to make that happen. But they're trying to stay in the pressure, so they don't want to sail too far, because we saw on that helicopter shot how light it was out of that patch of breeze.
So everyone now back into the cockpit, ready to see how this turn is completed. They've already done two jibes on this final approach. Finish line now to the left-hand side, and you can see it's not far, so this should be their last jibe. If they just hold on, if the pressure allows them just to sail maybe a few more boat lengths, they can jibe over and they can comfortably lay the finish line, knowing that it's a good angle to the breeze. Marie Rioux, Alan Roberts, on the winches, providing the power. Mariana Labateau on the sheets. And Paul Meyer steering it through the turn, not relying on the autopilot when the wind is this light. And it requires a little bit more than just the wind instruments to know exactly what the breeze is doing. You need that instinctive feel. Well, they've got enough momentum, they've got enough speed. The rudders are certainly answering. They've filled up the masthead code 0. Now it comes out on the new side. The main is over, the battens are not. But to be honest with you, at this point, with so much left to run, it's so satisfying to see that head sail unfurl and straight away fill. So even if those battens don't want to pop, and as I say that they do, I mean, they found the best breeze of the last hour.
Yeah, they just jibed in the perfect spot there. As you say, they are laying it. I don't want to give the kiss of death, but that was a great jibe and pressure. So I think we can start being confident and having smiles on our faces now that we've got a second place biathlon.
Second place coming up for Biatherm. It is all but a certainty now. Maybe 6-7 boat lengths left to run for the French team. Paul Meyer jibing the boat onto a good approach angle now. The main is full, the head sail is ready, it's powering the boat forward. They've lost a little bit of momentum, but the crew's still looking relaxed because they know that there is nothing left to do. All they need to do is drift, crawl, just keep something in the bank, and this boat is going to be able to cross that finish line. They have been given a real scare as Team Holcim PRB behind. The boat that was leading for a huge part of this leg managed in the closing stages, the last few hours, to put some real pressure and some big concern on the face of Paul Meyer. But now, for Biatherm, here they come to that finish line, a finish line that has been a long time coming. Paul Meyer crafted a team fueled by passion and has achieved so much during the event, learning with every mile that they have completed. And now, along with his crew of Mariana Labateau, Marie Rieu and Alan Roberts, are here at the end of leg 7, the end of the ocean race journey, and they take second place in the grand finale in Genova. Behind them, many miles of hard work, achievements, and overcoming the odds. Biatherm now across the line. It really did take a long time, but you're talking about a journey that has taken 6 months. I mean, this edition of the Ocean Race was shorter than normal, 9-10 months. That's a little bit more the norm. 6 months, but I wonder, for someone like Paul Meyer, standing there with his crew on either side, celebrating with his supporters that have come out in the water, Paul had to learn an awful lot about what it takes to do this race, and he had to learn by being here and experiencing it in the moment.
Absolutely, and his boat was literally fresh out the shed, straight out of the package, straight into this race. Very little chance to have any preparation that most teams have and lead up into this race. But he has just grown as a skipper, as a character, and his confidence now in his boat and his decisions is all the better for this extra lap of the planet ahead of what he plans over the next couple of years, where the boat will go again, but with just him on board. So he really has surrounded himself with people that he values, that he trusts and respects, that he really enjoys the company of, so he's had a great time. They're a relatively small team if you add their shore team together compared to a lot of the other teams, and they have overcome quite a few issues along the way. We've seen them tackle delamination on their foils, they've had rig issues, and they've just come back, electronic issues, and they've just come back each time and delivered. And you know, I had my fingers crossed that they were going to do it this leg, but Malizia beat them overnight. But to come second, he'll be really proud of that.
So hard this leg because we had a lot of transitions, no wind, and then seeing the others getting some speed on the tracker, and yeah, it was a good challenge. But in the end, we were second, and it was awesome for our team.
What a battle out there, huh? With Boris, you guys hugged the coast. You did well.
Yeah, it was a really great fight all the race with the free boats. It was only free boats, but really close racing. So really interesting, and actually it's maybe less distance between the boat at the end than just after the import race when we left Den Haag. But we knew from the start that all will be played just in front of Genova. It will be the case. It was the case. So congratulations to Malizia because they took a risk during the night, and it was a good idea, sure.
Well, behind them, and you can see those multiple jibes that Bioterm were able to do in the pressure. Team Holcim PRB have really parked up now. You know, it's a bit of a wonder why Team Holcim PRB weren't able to make a little bit more of their attack position on Bioterm, but the breeze out on the water here in Genova proving very challenging for our sailors. Team Holcim PRB, D, 1.5 knots of boat speed. That is close to losing control of the boat, really. I mean, that's got to feel close to the rudders not gripping.
Yeah, it's going to be about minimal movement. So long as that head sail can keep pulling, then you've got that movement. But the last thing they want to do is any more manoeuvres, but we know there are more manoeuvres for them to do to cross that finish line, looking at their trajectory at the moment. So they're going to have to time these when they're in the max pressure, which isn't a lot out there for sure.
But Team Holcim PRB might not have been able to make a lot out of these last few hours and did lose the lead as well. But Team Holcim PRB as a boat, as a team, they have been really fast in this edition of the race.
And over a range of wind speeds and conditions. Sea state, they've been good in the big south. They've had that 600-mile lead on everyone. They jumped on a weather system that stayed ahead of everybody else. They scored that first scoring gate in the Southern Ocean. And we've seen them in light winds where they've made some really good decisions and got the boat to perform. They've also overcome their own setbacks, be it, obviously the rig was a really obvious one, but also they've had electronics have problems, they've had autopilot problems, they've had a J3 lock fail that they've then had to go up and replace. So they've had their own catalogue of errors that and challenges that they've overcome to keep the boat racing and performing.
Last time coming into Genova for Johan Rachom in anything with the ocean race, he was the boat that went from third to first on the finish line. Now, unfortunately, he's the one that has been overtaken. And it's a very cruel thing in sailing that when you are overtaken, it rarely happens rapidly and it's over and like pulling a plaster off. When you get overtaken in sailboat racing, certainly in light winds, it's death by 1,000 cuts.
And it always happens when there isn't enough runway left to get it back, claw it back. It happens and it's over and you're like, how did that just happen? I can't believe it. This is after, 12 days, this is their 12th day of sailing as well. And these guys have fought to be in the front a couple of times and they've basically held the front position for the fleet the whole leg. And then their fortunes changed in the early hours of this morning.
It's almost mean, isn't it, that you could be in the lead for 99% of the entire race, but you get nothing to show for it. You know, if you can't hold that all the way to the finish, like you say, if you make one bad mistake just before the end of the leg, somebody else slips past you, that's it. You get nothing for all your efforts.
Yeah, I mean, there's always an element of luck in sail racing, and whether it's a little bit of Mother Nature, the wind, the waves, there's an element of luck that will give you your result, as well as the skills and the preparation and the planning and the execution. You know, it all comes together, but in lighter conditions, it feels that element of luck is slightly larger than it is in kind of bigger conditions, shall we say.
I mean, you do enough miles, I guess. I think it was Charlie Enright always talking about, the element of luck, and he was saying something along the lines of you do enough miles, and the ocean race, let's be honest, it's enough miles that the luck does sort of even out. Sometimes it's in your favor, sometimes it's not, but with a full lap of the planet, it's normally the boats at the top who have been able to kind of persevere. And while Team Holcim PRB might be coming in here in third place on this final leg, they are second overall on the overall scoreboard. As we were saying before, with this finish they will move up into first place overall, but that is not necessarily going to mean that they are going to lift the trophy. We have to wait and see. It could be that they will be lifting the trophy, and I guess, Steve, that adds an extra sort of stress to the experience of this team and these sailors sailing in here to Genova with that unknown hanging over their heads.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a really mixed emotions for the finish for this team. We've achieved a lap of the phenomenal. You know, not everybody that sets off will achieve it normally. So this is a major achievement. They've actually sailed themselves like from first to third, last in the IMOCA fleet, but it's a podium position. It's a podium finish. And they've done well. They've won legs. They've won a lot of points. They've overcome all these challenges. But they'd be frustrated. But it's a podium finish for the final leg of the ocean race. But the overall result is unknown. And it's just managing those emotions and how they really feel about their achievement. I mean, to race in this race is phenomenal. To achieve a podium position is phenomenal. So this leg, they need to be applauded for what they've done.
Team Holcim PRB crossed the finish line out in the water to take third place on this final leg of the ocean race. And some smiles there. Johan Risham and the crew coming around. They've needed to come across the finish line just simply to be able to put everything behind them. It's done. There it is. There was not the result that I think you could argue they deserved, considering how long they were leading on this leg, and what an amazing performance it was that they have put down for everyone else to try and follow. But either way, for those boats that did overtake them, they made them work incredibly hard to try and find a way round.
Yeah, and where they'd be disappointed, the others overcame that challenge and took it to them. You know, it could have gone any way on this fleet. There's all such good sailors. I mean, these are some of the best sailors in the world here, all coming together to take on this challenge. So I think, you know, they need a bit of time to reflect, a few beers and a bit of a hug from the other teams, and it'll all be forgotten and, you know, they'll move on. But they probably want payback, I'd suggest, at the weekend, and that last chance they get to line up on the water.
Welcome to Genova. Bienvenuto a Genova.
Thank you.
Tricky place to get to, isn't it?
Well,
Always.
we knew it, and it happened, of course. Yeah, it was tricky as we expected. We tried to push as much as we could before that to try to extend and have a bit of margin, but each time they were coming back, and we tried to push and push and push, and every day it was the same day. You know, in the morning they were with us, in the evening we're 15 miles ahead, and the next morning ahead. Same, but last night it happened what happened, and it was hard to match, and Biotherm and Malizia. At some point they got a bit of wind inshore that we couldn't get, and here we are in third place. So a bit of a bitter taste after leading the race, quite in a strong position for 12 days and losing it the last night, but it's racing, and Malizia make a beautiful winner, and congratulations to them.
What was the part that you enjoyed the most? Tell us that first, maybe.
Until last night, it was perfect. Yeah, it was such a nice leg. You know, we hugged almost every coast, and we're in the lead for almost 99% of the race. And then last night we parked and saw the other boats just getting a gust, and we couldn't make that one. And it was very devastating, and yeah, that's life, it's sports.
Quite the scenes on the dock for Team Holcim BRB and the crew and everybody else joining in as well with the celebrations. And I know she was holding a battery pack, but I'm almost surprised that nobody got Natasha in the water. Still time yet if anybody's listening. But the results from this final leg with our 3 racing IMOCAs have finished, and now we can have a look at the confirmed times. Team Malizia taking the lead, 11 days they spent on the water. Biotherm, 1 hour and 36 minutes behind, and then Team Holcim PRB, and unable to find the breeze that Team Malizia managed to exploit close to the coast and work their way into first place. So first, second and third all confirmed on the water. Of course, with Guyot Environment, Team Europe and 11th Hour Racing Team both unable to race on this final leg. So what does that do for the overall standings? Well, We have completed a lot of legs here and we have had a lot of points. At one point it was all about Team Holcim PRB with their incredibly strong opening performance in the first 3 legs of this edition of the Ocean Race. 11th Hour Racing Team needed to step up and needed to try and gain a foothold, and they did just that, but it is not completely over yet. Here, after 7 legs completed, Team Holcim PRB are back at the top of the overall scoreboard by 1 point, but we still have a redress that is going to be heard in a couple of days, and that could be crucial. 11th Hour Racing Team had become a different team to the one that we saw starting this race.
Yeah, definitely. We could see a shift in the mindset of the sailors and also the technical, the shore crew. I would say it started in Brazil to be a little bit something that you could feel, and it only grew from there. And in Newport, in their home base, they were a lot more relaxed, a lot more confident about their boat speed, about their technical abilities, and it only grew up even further from there. And in Denmark, in The Hague, they really did look like the one to beat.
After we saw that crash, no fault of 11th Hour Racing Team, Gouye Environment Team Europe putting their hands in the air, was were we going to see the jury correcting the score of 11th Hour Racing Team? And we had to wait for the redress hearing to kick in, the mechanism. All the teams were involved. Everybody got a chance to put forward their thoughts as to what they thought was sensible and within the rules of the sport. And ultimately, the redress was granted for 11th Hour Racing Team, and that is now why we are seeing this boat coming in to Genova after such an agonizing decision for the international jury.
11th Hour Racing therefore received 4 points for leg 7, and accordingly are declared overall winners of the Ocean Race 2022-23. Fantastic.
It's been an emotional few days, and I think for me, our team has been entirely focused on the preparation and trying to not get too far ahead of ourselves. As I said before, I think as a team, our 2 primary missions were, to win this race, but then to also, be champions and stewards of ocean health, and we've successfully achieved both today, which I'm very, very happy about. But in the days preparing for today, we've been very conscious to make sure our focus was on the preparation and not on the result. And if we did a good job of the preparation, the result would take care of itself.
Well, 11th Hour Racing Team on the shore were involved in that redress hearing. They were aware of what was happening, but then they had to inform this team here, who are now being escorted in to the harbour in Genova. But earlier on, the crew needed to be informed about what was happening, and it was quite the moment when the sailors on board finally got that connection with their shore team and heard the good news about what the redress had done. It's quite interesting, like the reaction from these guys. It was always quite muted at the moment, and then the celebrations came out. It does take a while to kick in. When they got that news, they were off the shores of Genova with no one else around. It's kind of surreal. You want to hug someone, you want to hear a well done, but they've had to wait for this moment where finally we can escort them in.
Yeah, exactly. Usually when you're winning a race like this, you're passing a finish line with lots of people around and your team, your family around you. And they were just amongst themselves doing this. So, yeah, special feeling, I guess.
This is the first American team to ever lift this trophy.
Yeah, and it's very awesome for IMOCA as well to see a team coming from the US and stepping up their games in this essentially French class historically. And they've come to France, they've learned a lot, and now they're really running on their own.
we can always focus on that last push, that last moment, those last 24 hours, what you did just before you got to the point of maybe lifting the trophy or not. But ultimately, we can go all the way back to those moments where they've managed to find these points. And I think it's beautiful to watch as 11th Hour Racing Team comes in just out of shot. In fact, we can see off the stern of the boat on the other view, all the VO65s, the IMOCAs kind of parading them in. Everybody knows that 11th Hour Racing Team have sailed a very good race. Team Holcim PRB also pushing them right the way to the limit in terms of speed. It's been amazing to watch those two teams with Team Malizia sort of trading advantages around the globe.
Yeah, to have a great winner, you need great opponents, right? It's easy to win when you're the only one, and obviously all those teams deserve massive credits because their effort has been huge. It's a massive team sport. I mean, I don't know if people realize how much of a team effort it is, and I'm not talking about the 5 people on board only.
There are more people in the team than there are sailors.
Yeah. And you can have put together the best crew in the world if the management, the technical, even the commercial aspect of it is not up to standard. The logistics are not up to the task. You're not going to win that race. You need everything to come together and to work in harmony in order to be where they are now.
And they also needed everything to work together at absolutely incredible speed, pulling shifts over the night just to repair the boat to get it to this point. They haven't raced here to Genova. They have delivered this boat to Genova. In a sense, they have raced because they wanted to get here today. They wanted to get here before the import race, before the awards night. They wanted to be here. And now they are. That's the crowd on the pontoon here. Francesca Klapčić flying the flag for Italy. Simon Fitter, the British sailor, he has done the ocean race many times before. This is his 6th time as a competitor. He's won the race before back in 14-15 with Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing with Ian Walker, the British skipper. And now, of course, the American flag coming out because this team, as an American team, the first American team to win the ocean race. And Charlie Enright is now getting up on the top of the coach roof with the 3 other sailors alongside him who have met so much. There have been other sailors as well taking their turns on the boat, stepped off, come into the shore crew, come out again. It's not just these 4 sailors that we're seeing today, but this was the crew that has really been such a central string of what we have seen with this campaign. And for Charlie Enright, I'm sure he will be very proud of everybody on the boat and on shore with all the contributions that they have made. And you can see just how much it means to them.
Charlie, congratulations. You did it. I mean, it's 10 years and 6 months. And here you are, champions of the ocean race.
Yeah, 10 years is a significant percentage of my life. I've been sailing since I was 5 years old. I've been lusting after this race win for 10 years, and to see it come to fruition today it's amazing. Honestly, it's a dream come true. It's nobody could have scripted certainly the way it went down. But we would have loved to have kind of won it on the water, but very well deserved nonetheless, for sure. From top to bottom, the whole team, just such an amazing victory. Everybody bought in even when it was hard, and you're seeing the results of that today, which is just amazing.
Winners of the ocean race, 11th Hour Racing Team!
With all the action now completed from the offshore section of this edition of the Ocean Race, these are the confirmed scores. 11th Hour Racing Team with skipper Charlie Enright in the top position on 37 points, and Team Holcim PRB Benjamin Schwartz as the skipper, 34 points in second. And Team Malizia, Boris Herman as the skipper, 32 points in third place. And in fourth, the French team Bioterm, Paul Mayer as the skipper on 23 points. And in fifth, Guyot Environment Team Europe, Benjamin Dutroux as the skipper on 2 points. 5 IMOCAs rounding out their ocean race journey. 6 months of racing and quite the journey, bringing the conclusion here to our grand finale in Genova. And moments ago, as 11th Hour Racing Team lifted the trophy to the roar of the crowd.